Welcome back to Terror by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, this is going to be a twofer. Just wanted to follow up. Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon, both folks who came up with the Green Bay sweep, both thumbed their nose at the January 6th committee subpoenas, both claimed that Trump gave them executive privilege, both were found to be guilty, and both get to serve 4-month prison sentences. Peter Navarro started his in March, and he's out in just 2 weeks. He's out on the, is it the 19th? He is, let's see, I've got it here. Hold on. Sorry, I have a couple windows open here. He started serving on March 19th, so he should be out right around July 19th or so. He will have served his 4-month prison sentence at a facility in Florida called the Federal Correctional Institution Miami, which is a low-security federal prison, just like Steve Bannon's in Danbury, Connecticut, at a low-security prison. So they have so much in common. They'll have so much to talk about. Now, again, Bannon just served. He just sent in on, we reported on July 1st. So he's been in for 5 full days now. Navarro's been in for 3.5 months. He's got 2 weeks left before he's out. So let's take a look at the energy around Peter Navarro, and then let's find out, did he learn any lessons while he's in prison? How are things going to be different for him as he exits? And then we can do the same thing with Bannon and figure out what lessons he's learning in prison. Entertainment purposes only. Come on down. This is not to revel in other people's misfortunes, but you thumb your nose and act like you're above the law, and there are consequences. Peter Navarro, what's the energy around you now? 4 of coins, holding things close to the vest. Say nothing, do nothing, just mind your own business. You've got 13 days to go, and you've served your 4-month sentence, and you'll get out. Now, Trump was quoted as saying that Peter Navarro was very poorly treated by the court system, which is code for Peter Navarro didn't say anything, didn't give up any information. That's Trump's code for saying, you did a good job, I'm very proud of you. I'm not going to do anything to help you, but I'm very proud of you. I'm sure Mr. Navarro would be quite thrilled with such highly esteemed words. Crossed with the 3 of Wands, he is so ready to get out. He kept his mouth shut. He kept all the information to himself. He's 3 months into the sentence, and he is looking forward to these next 2 weeks going by. Those 2 weeks will go by, but I think this whole time he's been in prison has been a long, slow grind for him. And mind you, it's only 4 months. That is not a long sentence by anybody's stretch of the imagination, but that's easy for me to say. I'm not the one serving it. I imagine if I was serving 4 months in prison, I'd say it was, oh my God, forever. But, I also didn't not show up for a congressional subpoena, so there's that. In the past, you got the 6 of Swords. He tried everything he could to delay and stay out of prison, but eventually he was sent up the river, if you will, using a very outdated term that I think I learned in Batman, the Batman TV series from the 60s. So up the river he goes. Current situation is the 2 of Swords. All right, when you get out, got my black tourmaline tower and my obsidian point here, in case you're wondering if I've got grounding on my table. He's got a choice to make. You just got a taste of 4 months of prison. Do you want to dive headlong in and do another round of Trump? And you may not be out of the woods yet because you might be involved in the electoral scheme too. The fake elector scheme. Let me check that out real quick. 'Cause I'd be surprised if he wasn't part of it, because that would be part of the Green Bay sweep. Okay, a quick Google search did not show anything. It just talks about the Green Bay sweep where he was trying to get Congress people not to validate the election. But it wouldn't surprise me if he has some culpability in that as well. But for now, we'll just have to park that as speculation, and there's nothing I can see where he's faced any indictments for it. So come on back down again. He's got a choice to make. When you get out of prison, what are you going to do? Overarching energy with his choices. Are you crazy enough to do it a second time? Or are you going to find your integrity and say, you know what? I got bamboozled. I spent 4 months in prison, and I'm not doing anything again that's going to get me put back in prison. This is what he has to decide. This is what the decision point is. Or I should say, he needs to make a decision, and this is the driver. This is the overarching energy. The underlying energy is the chariot. Life is going to go on whether Peter Navarro is in prison or not. What lesson was he supposed to learn from all this? Page of Wands. If you're going to embark on a journey and tell people about all your actions, you better damn well make sure that your actions are legal from this point on. Because now I believe he's a felon, and he's got a record. If he's not a felon, he definitely has a record. I'd have to look up to see if it was a felony for not reporting to Congress. But irrelevant to that fact, this is now on your record. So any future acts are going to be weighed heavily against you. So much researching, so little time. It looks like it's a misdemeanor. Okay, at least I'll try to get you accurate information. So next time you're going to decide to, ignore a subpoena and obstruct an investigation by Congress, maybe you should think twice about it. Maybe you should think twice about talking about the crimes you've committed in a book and on television interviews. And when Ari Melber says, that sounds like you're describing a coup, and you give him that blank look in your face, be thankful that 4 months was all that you got. The outcome is the Three of Cups. The energy around it. He's he's going to be very happy to get out of prison. His family is going to be very happy to see him. I'm sure Trump's going to be happy that he didn't spill the beans or spill the tea, as it were. So far, I would say, what's the energy looking like? He's looking to get out, and he's going to be very happy when he's out. All right. Let's ask Spirit, what lesson was Peter? What time we got 8 minutes here. What's the energy around Peter Navarro post-release? Now that he's been released, a Three of Cups moment. Hooray, I'm on the outside. What's he going to do? His Two of Swords moment. What's he going to do? Is he going to stay on the straight and narrow? Is he going to fall off? Let's do a full read. Justice card. Okay. I hope he drops the case. I want to appeal this. It's not going to go anywhere. We have the Justice card and the Devil. Ooh. Well, he's got some choices to make. You know what? Tell you what. This guy's got some choices to make. You've got Justice crossed by his loyalty to Trump and the Strength card. All right. Who are you loyal to? Are you loyal to the country, or are you loyal to Trump? This is your test here. Now, he's asking about the energy around him and the spiritual lesson he's supposed to learn from this, or what was next for him, and that's what we've got. Justice versus Trump. Which one are you going to choose? Four of Wands. There's your 4 months in prison, and you've just been let out of prison. I do like the Four of Wands for that card. Now it's time to decide. Look at all these major arcana here. Now it's time to decide. You going to jump back in the fray and join the devil? Or are you going to join the path of the straight and narrow? Maybe even turn some state's witness so that you don't go back to prison. The Fool card, overarching energy. It's going to be a good choice. It's either a new journey for you or it's a foolish fall from grace. Really depends. If you follow justice, new journey. You want to hang around with Trump? Got bad news for you, man. Hope you like that 4 months in prison because you'll be there for more than that. Lesson to be learned is the Tower. Good God, look at all these major arcana. His next actions are huge on his life path. He's got huge choices to make on his life path here. The lesson to be learned, if he sticks around with Trump, he's going down. And I hope he recognizes that. If he helps with the feds, he can help bring down tyranny and basically stay out of prison. What's the outcome? Ace of Cups. If, he's got to find, he has to look inside himself and figure out who he is as a person. Because I'm telling you right now, if he does not make the right choice between these two, between following the law or following Trump, he's got choices to be made. These choices are made. What are you going to do? Because this can really be your undoing. What are you going to do? It's a very strong emotional choice here. That's the energy around that. Let's little four-carder. Justice versus Trump. Given the energies right now, what will Navarro do? Given the energies right now, what will Navarro do? Oh, wow. Those are a lot of major arcana for that spread. Yeah, this is a big moment for him. I can imagine 3 of Cups. He's happy to be out of that prison. What are you going to do next, though? That's really the question. You follow Trump? You're going to follow the law. Because they don't intersect, those two. What's Navarro going to do? 4-carder. King of Swords. Well, he's either going to talk to Jack Smith, or Jack Smith may talk with him. But he's got to make a tough decision here. Temperance. Do you really want to go back to prison? This is literally, do you want to go back to prison? I was going to say integrating back to society. He's only in prison for 4 months, for God's sake. But, that's 4 months longer than Donald Trump's been in prison. You carried his water and spent time in prison. How'd that work out for you? 8 of Cups. You're going to walk away from the emotions, from the gaslighting and such. 10 of Wands. Huge burden. He didn't like it in prison. And again, only 4 months. He didn't much care for that. Do you want to go back? There's your Wheel of Fortune underneath it. So that Wheel of Fortune, his current thing right now is, Jack Smith will have a talk with him about other things involved in that election. And he's going to want to walk away from it. I think he's done. He's done his time. He wants nothing more to do with hard time. It could very well be hard time because you've already been convicted of crimes and you might be liable for some more. I suspect Navarro has learned his lesson. And what, pray tell, is his spiritual lesson to learn from this? Let's find that out too. Peter Navarro, what was your spiritual lesson to learn from following Trump's orders and having made some poor decisions that ultimately led you to go to prison? And Donald Trump is scot-free. What was the spiritual lesson you're supposed to learn from that? I get the 7 of Coins popping up here. I'll leave that one out. And we'll do 2 signifiers on that one. Basically, make better choices. What are your values? Make better choices. And we'll team that up with hopes, wishes, dreams fulfilled. It's kind of like somebody promising you the sun, the moon, and the stars versus your own values. Who are you going to believe? You know, that's kind of the thing here. You know, he was tempted. He was tempted. He followed the temptation, and it cost him his freedom for 4 months. Page of Cups. There's Trump. And the Two of Wands. And Temperance. What was the lesson to be learned? Your values versus the promises of wealth and power. And underneath it all is Temperance. You've learned your lesson. Do you need? You shouldn't need to repeat this. Underneath it all is Trump, the devil himself, who will eat your soul. He will make you recontemplate your values and have you do things that are against your normal principles, because that's one of his superpowers. And the worst part is you will volunteer to do it. So which one are you going to be? Are you going to be the delusional guy who jumps on with Team Trump in order to, be praised by people or something like that? Or are you going to be somebody who looks towards your future, looks at this and says, I was really comfortable with my values before? Underneath it all is Temperance. This is a lesson that he had to go through, that he needed to learn. And I think I am going to go out on a small limb and say that I think Peter Navarro has learned his lesson. That's not to say he may not be incarcerated again, because it's entirely possible, but I suspect he will much more likely work with the feds on with stuff that he knows, rather than hold it in. No, he held it in for those four coins. He kept his mouth shut. Trump was pleased about that. But now that he's done his time, once bitten, twice shy. Do you want to go through that again? Speaking of which, Steve Bannon has been in prison now for like 5 whole days. My God. How does the man do it? He's probably had more baths in those 5 days and more shirt changes in those 5 days than he's had in the last 5 years. So there's always hope, Hygiene. It's not just for prisoners. All right. Steve Bannon. How's it going, pal? How are you enjoying prison life? You don't get a zoo like Navarro had. There's a zoo outside the Miami Federal Correction Institution. You hear the lions roaring. That's pretty awesome. I don't think Bannon gets all that. So what's the energy around Bannon 5 days into prison? So we start the 10 of coins. Legacy. I don't think this is hereditary money or its overall values, but this is kind of his legacy here. Maybe he was offered a lot of money too. It's certainly tempted by money. What are we going to cross that with? The Queen of Swords. And the Wheel of Fortune again. Okay, so just like Navarro, Bannon's supposed to be learning a lesson here. He might have been promised a lot of money, but in the end, he's tarnishing his legacy by this maneuver. And you got the Queen of Swords here showing that, this is just the beginning for him. What did you expect was going to happen when you ignored a federal subpoena? Wheel of Fortune. And this isn't the only criminal case that Bannon's going to face. I mean, he got lucky before because Trump pardoned him. Oh, and of course, we got the We Build the Wall case coming on. All that financial fraud. So, you know what this is? This is Bannon. You better get comfortable in prison. Because right now you're in a low security unit. And maybe, if you're lucky, when you're convicted for basically committing fraud and stealing money from people to build the Trump wall, maybe you'll get that low security prison again. But, welcome to the next several months, if not years, of your life, Steve. This is going to keep going on. Remember, this guy was very much involved in the January 6th insurrection. The We Build the Wall scheme is and the ignoring the January 6th committee and then We Build the Wall scheme, those are like appetizers. That's like a little appetizer in your salad before you get your dinner. In the past, we got the Eight of Cups. He exhausted his, he delayed his court cases as long as he could and tried to appeal to the Supreme Court. He couldn't get in. He ran out of options. He used up his friendships and his chits, as it were, trying to avoid this sentence. And now he's in. And as he pointed out, the 4 months he's serving are the 4 months right before the presidential election. So he's not there stumping for Trump on his podcast. Current situation is the Three of Swords. Heartbreak and betrayal. He probably expected the Supreme Court to do something for him, but the Supreme Court didn't do anything to Navarro, and Navarro was on the same charge. So you shouldn't have got your hopes up, dude. And not only that, again, you've already been pardoned from one case. So you got one sword going through you for ignoring the subpoena. The second sword going through you over here is going to be for defrauding people for Rebuild the Wall. This third sword is going to be coming straight through the heart, is going to be your involvement with January 6th. So get used to prison, Steve. You're going to have to get comfortable there. Those are going to be your digs for the next 10 years to 20 years. Overarching energy is the King of Wands. Bannon is kind of like a man of action. He likes to take action on things. In this case, his actions caught up with him. He really would be the type of guy that would run, Of course, he's been forced to bathe. Do you think he really wants to go back to prison? Let's see what this is overarching. Basically, the overarching is you made your choices. And you've been very proud, loud and proud about the choices you've made. Unapologetic would be the word I would use for Steve Bannon and his actions. And, of course, actions have consequences, as he's finding out. The lesson to be learned from all this is the Two of Swords. You made your choices. You tried to be on Team Trump, but what you got was your legacy tarnished. And you broke the law, you're going to do the crime. If you committed the crime, you're going to do the time. You're going to leave good society and go into prison. And you're going to be going to prison 3 times. You're in for the first one. The second one, the court case, is coming up in September. And then we're going to get the January 6th one. And that's going to be the doozy. Because at that point, I believe you will have been a felon with the embezzling case. And then you're going to be a convicted felon who's been served 2 prison sentences getting hit with the January 6th case. That's going to be a long prison sentence because you're going to be one of the masterminds. The lesson to be learned is the King of Cups. Man of action to the man of emotion. But what was this all done? Was trying to get rid of Biden. Prevent Biden from sitting in the presidency. And I think Bannon's just... I have a hard time picturing him being sloppy and emotional. I think what he will be, he's going to be a bitter, angry old man when this is all said and done. By the time Steve Bannon gets out of prison, he will be a bitter, angry old man. He already looks like an old man now, but that's not going to be a good 10 years of prison for him. That's his current energy. he could be convicted again before he's done with this sentence. He might already be convicted and awaiting sentencing for the New York case. That's going to be September. And he gets out at the end of October. So that's 2 months. It's possible that you've had the prison case and a jury verdict. Okay, so when Bannon gets out of prison for this 4-month sentence, is he looking at more prison time for defrauding people in New York for the We Build the Wall scheme? We got the world card, bringing things to a close. He gets out of prison, finishing his sentence, and he's free. Free, I tell you. Free, I'm a free man. And just like Navarro, he's got the strength card underneath there. So the prison sentences look like there will be some freedom for him prior to any if there's a guilty verdict. I don't think the case is going to be dismissed. I wouldn't be that optimistic for him. In the past, you got the Page of Cups duping the MAGA folks, treating them like the dumb gomers that they are. Current situation after he's freed out is the Ten of Wands. So, you get out of there, but now you've got this next case that is wearing down on you. And maybe you've already been found guilty at that point, and you're just awaiting sentencing. The overarching energy of it is the Seven of Coins. You ripped off a bunch of people for no good reason. You ripped off a bunch of people. People that would give you and Trump their undying loyalty. You just stole their money. Was that worth it? Was it worth it? Did you like your time in prison? The lesson to be learned is the heartbreak and betrayal. No, he's not going free. This is just the second sword through his heart as he is convicted again. The outcome is the Page of Swords. At least this time when he goes back into prison, he'll know what he's up against. But this might be a different prison here. He's going to be in New York. I don't know if they would put him in Rikers. It's entirely possible. They may not put him in he's not going to go into a minimum security prison. That's not going to happen. A low one, maybe. He might even spend time in Rikers during the court case because it's a state prison right next to the courthouse. It's convenient to go there. Will he be a stool pigeon? He better be a stool pigeon if he wants to avoid that third sword there. But I think he's going right back to prison, and he's going to be learning more of his prison lessons. Again, it may not be an overly long sentence. Usually for something like that, they might give him, a year or 18 months or something like that, and then a big fine, and then restitution. That sort of thing. Pay the money back, pay a penalty, and lose some of your freedoms for a while. I don't know what the district attorney is going to ask for, what Alvin Bragg will ask for with that. But we'll see when that comes out. So, yeah, he's not out of this by any stretch of the imagination. All right, so then the next thing that comes to mind is, what is a spiritual lesson? We can let the third sword go. Well, maybe if you want to throw on the third sword, it's going to be the January 6th case. You know he's going to be held accountable for that. I just want to know, what's the spiritual lesson Steve Bannon was supposed to learn from these cases? He's got one conviction, likely a second one on the way, and could be even bigger trouble for that third one. That third one could be a decade in prison type of thing, because you're talking insurrections and sedition here. So what was Bannon supposed to learn from this? Page of Wands. Just like Navarro had his Page of Wands over there, you go blasting, talking about all the crimes that you did. It's like, you led this expedition. You volunteered for this adventure. Nobody forced Steve Bannon to go in there and do what he did, especially in the beginning of the administration. He wanted back in. He got back in and immediately ripped off a bunch of people and got a pardon for it. But he's also the one that did not go to Congress and talk to in front of the January 6th committee. He's the one who ripped off a bunch of people unnecessarily, and he is likely to spend some more time in prison. So he's doing this to himself. Five of Cups. Sometimes you got to know when to cut your losses, Steve. Maybe life didn't turn out the way you liked it, but you did it to yourself. And Steve Bannon would be the first person to say he's proud of everything he's done. He has no regrets. That's kind of a Bannon-esque type thing here. He's just entitled. He's just this entitled person. He doesn't feel like he has enough, and he wants more. But like when you're embezzling from people, you're too damn lazy to do it yourself. So you just pick on people that aren't as smart as you are. And there they are. You take money from the poor. Literally, he's the guy that was stealing money out of the poor box type of thing. There was all this money for the We Build the Wall, and he promised these people stuff, and you stole their money. People that didn't have the money to give gave you money, and you embezzled from them. And it's not going to stop. What lesson was he supposed to learn from this? Is, be responsible for your actions. And he is responsible for his actions. He would be the first person that tells you that. But he's also not willing to change course. You have to be willing to stop doing what you're doing. Do you want to spend the rest of your life in prison or in and out of prison? You're supposed to be of service to people, not ripping people off. But he got lazy. Lazy, entitled, as opposed to taking care of people. He had Trump's ear. He was developing policy. He could have done policies that would have been beneficial to the collective. And like many in Trump's orbit, he chose to develop policies that were beneficial to his back pockets. I don't think he learned his lesson. Well, he learned a lesson. I don't think he made very good choices. And I'm curious. He's facing the consequences of his choices, and I'm okay with this. I encourage this. So let's leave it here. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. Hope you found this reading insightful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.